Hello everyone, here we are setting out on our 2023 journey as we start our teaching program for the year. And to start, we are starting in the book of Acts. We're going to be here for 12 weeks, hopefully wrapping up just before Easter. Irene and I have been working on this material for a couple of weeks already, and I just wanted to say at the start, as I've been preparing these studies, I've found myself breaking out in prayer at my desk as I've been writing and reading. I've just been moved by the stories of faithfulness of God to this group of people. And I found myself shutting my laptop and going to grab my guitar just to worship after some of the preparation. And so I know that this can be a blessing to you, not because we are good at putting studies together, but because the stories in Acts are amazing, and really understanding the significance of them, understanding the context, and kind of immersing yourself in the story will be a blessing. And so as you think about your new year and your priorities and your calendar, I want to encourage you to to mark out time in your week to go through these studies well, an hour and a half a week, work through the questions, pick up a notebook from the shop and actually write the answers down. I know these are things we all know, but I just want to say personal testimony have been incredibly moved by preparing this series, and so I want that for you. I was chatting to Irene about it. I kind of wish everyone could spend a couple hours, preparing these sessions, because it's forced me to read and to focus and to concentrate and to just to really gain from this. And so so Acts, interesting book. It's part 2 of Luke's letter to someone called Theophilus. Theophilus was Greek, not a Jew. Some of the commentaries I read said that Luke may even have written these books as a defense of Christianity to someone of influence. The Jews had certain freedoms at that time while Christians were being persecuted. And some people think that maybe he was writing to say, actually, Christian faith is the fulfillment of the Jewish law and of the Jewish religion. And so there are quite a lot of references to Old Testament prophecies within the book, particularly when Peter and Paul are preaching to Jewish audiences, obviously. And so look out for that. It's an amazing story. Within a few verses in Acts, Jesus has ascended. He's told the disciples to go back and wait for the Holy Spirit. And so they are still a bit unsure. They're still not sure if maybe Jesus is going to restore the kingdom to Israel through a military victory out of the oppression of the Roman Empire. But they go back to Jerusalem and they wait, and Pentecost happens, Acts 3. And the arrival of the Holy Spirit triggers this global expansion of the gospel. This expansion that's brought about through the power of God, not the wisdom of the people. And it's important to log that up front. Don't think of Acts as an itinerary of Peter and Paul's travel. This is a book packed with stories of God's faithfulness and God's power changing people, despite it being hard ground and a community that, after executing Jesus, has no interest in faith in Jesus. This global expansion, as I mentioned, is the fulfillment of what God has promised from the beginning for Jews and for Gentiles. And particularly special moment for us, really, reading when Cornelius' family, later in Acts, receives the Holy Spirit and receives salvation, which marks the beginning of the gospel reaching into Gentile communities. And so, we've chosen to work through Acts because we resonate with the heartbeat of this book. It was about a small group of people called by God, but with a level of uncertainty about what the future holds. But after the Holy Spirit arrives, their calling clarifies in a radical way. And those hard ground and public opinions against them, they instinctively move out, preaching gospel of grace salvation through faith in Jesus to their community and, the rest of the known world in this case. Along the way, they establish new churches, they learn how to live together and how to minister together. They overcome ethnic and cultural barriers. They work together as churches, as we hope to, with people in the town and further afield with Advance. And they accomplish extraordinary kingdom gains. They take opposition in their stride, counting the cost of faith, with their eyes set on the ultimate prize. And so my hope is that in our working through Acts, it's going to help us make sense of our own season. It's going to hopefully fill us with faith in the saving power of Jesus as we read these stories of him overcoming barriers. We're going to learn about mission and evangelism, how Peter and Paul approached the sharing of their faith, depending on who they were speaking to. And it will further reinforce our reliance on the Holy Spirit, and I think give us time and an opportunity to reinforce that reliance. Acts charts the story of the gospel breaking out into the world, and our prayer is that God would do the very same thing in our towns, in our valley, and in time into Gippsland. So this is week 1. The goal is just to get a broad overview of the book, but I look forward to chatting on Thursday and as we move further into the next 12 weeks. So look forward to seeing you there. Cheers.